One night, sometime in the year 1609, a strange individual wandered into the courtyard of Sunpo Castle, the residence of Tokugawa Ieyasu, retired shogun and ruler of Japan. The intruder was described by guards as a blob of meat the size of a child. It had hands but no fingers, and had a foul stench. Since it managed to enter the high-security castle, Tokugawa was sure that it must have been a yokai, so he ordered his guards to capture it. But alas, the creature displayed extraordinary speed and managed to evade their grasp. The sentries conceded and instead chased the yokai away into a nearby forest. This creature was later thought to have been the Nuppeppō. Like many creatures of Japanese myth and folklore, the Nuppeppō's origins can be traced back to China. The entity has been known by many names, most commonly as Feng. Its earliest perceived mention can be read in the Classic of Mountains and Seas, or Shanhai Jing, a compendium of descriptions of natural landscapes and fantastical creatures, dating back to the 1st century BCE to the 1st century CE. The text mentions in passing the existence of a creature which looked like flesh, among other animals and observations. Anne Burrell, an author specializing in Chinese mythology, explained that the creature, in the text named as Shi Rou, was said to be a mass of flesh with the appearance of an ox liver and possessed 2 eyes. It could be eaten, though could never be truly consumed, as its devoured areas would simply grow back again. This idea of an endless supply of meat could have been a concept created and longed for by impoverished inhabitants of rural areas struggling to survive. In another account, over 4,000 years ago, the Feng was one of the 11,520 supernatural creatures of the world that were described to the mythical ancient ruler, the Yellow Emperor, by a beast known in China as Baizi or Hakutaku in Japan. According to this beast, the flesh-like Feng, if consumed, would grant the eater miraculous powers, perhaps great strength and endurance, or even immortality. The creature's words were transcribed into a book called Baizi Tu, though only fragments of it are said to survive. In more recent years, people in China have referred to this mythical flesh-like creature as Rouling Chu, meaning meat lingqi mushroom, its name referring to the very real lingqi mushroom, a large fungus used in Chinese medicines for centuries and revered as a mushroom of immortality. Its large, fleshy appearance may have inspired the descriptions of the fleshy mounds of millennia ago. This flesh mushroom had begun making more notable appearances in Chinese media over the past decade, with many concluding that the findings are more often than not fanciful hoaxes. Descriptions of the meat lingqi mushroom, also known as tai sui, categorize it as an edible vegetable that is a cross between meat and fungus. It is said to grow 20 to 100 meters underground and possesses extraordinary powers if eaten. In 2012, one such tai sui was allegedly found in the small town of Lusumbu after construction workers developing a new well had found a flesh-like mushroom in the ground. Not knowing for sure what it was, the locals placed it into a water-filled bucket and was examined in the presence of a news reporter who saw that it possessed what appeared to be an eye and a mouth. Reporter Yun Fengye determined that it was likely a meat lingqi, the mythical mushroom of immortality, and said that she would ask for a biologist to examine the peculiar sample. However, soon after the report had aired, viewers notified the TV station that the mystery mushroom was in fact a rubber sex toy designed to simulate the sensations of an anal and vaginal cavity. The station quickly apologized for the misinformation, stating that the reporter was very young and sheltered. A couple of years later, a similar story arose, in which construction workers in Dalian, in the northeast of China, uncovered a fatty mass weighing 7 or 8 kilograms. The workers allegedly sold the object to a Mr. Sun for 20,000 yuan, or around $3,200 US. Mr. Sun kept the 30 by 40 centimeter object submerged in a fish tank and was selling the water from the tank to the locals, who were convinced that it was the elusive mushroom with extraordinary medical benefits. Those who drank it claimed to feel its effect. A news reporter eventually visited Mr. Sun to examine the mushroom firsthand and noted that it had not deteriorated or rotted in any way 2 months after it had been excavated, nor did it possess any peculiar smell. Its appearance was likened to pigskin and beef tendons. The reporter drank a glass of the Thai soy water himself and commented that it did not taste or smell special in any way, nor did he feel any rejuvenating effects because of it. As the myth traveled to Japan, it developed its own distinct characteristics, changing from an inanimate mound of flesh into a more humanoid monster. The earliest known mention of Nuppeppō can be found in the 1737 picture scroll Yokai Zukan, the illustrated volume of 100 Demons by Sawaki Sushi, whose depictions of yokai influenced the appearance of Japanese monsters that were drawn and written of by later artists of the Edo period and beyond. In the scrolls, the Nuppeppō was described as a very wrinkly sweet potato with 4 short limbs. Other sources said that it used to disguise itself as a doctor to suck out the fat from corpses, but now it just came as is. A story of Tokugawa Ieyasu's encounter with the monster that was likely Nuppeppō was written in the early 1800s, and after reading this tale, an unknown individual knowledgeable with Chinese mythology and pharmaceuticals concluded that the creature was the Chinese Feng and claimed that it was a missed opportunity for Tokugawa, who should have captured it instead of driving it away to eat its flesh and acquire amazing powers. Yokai researcher Tadakatsumi noted a possible connection with the fright-inducing, faceless yokai Nuppeppō, theorizing that Nuppeppō originally might have come from the same source as Nuppeppō. Both creatures shared similarities in name and original concepts of a true identity being concealed in the face. The word Nuppeppō is believed to come from the slang expression nupperi, an antiquated derogatory term to describe a woman who had applied on herself an excessive amount of makeup, distorting the appearance of her face. This also connects with the concept that it originally used to disguise itself as a normal-looking person who would engage in conversations with others, and as they began to let their guard down, the monster would slowly change into its true form. This may be a reference to the concept of honmei and tatemae, the Japanese way of expressing untrue opinions and keeping a happy demeanor in public to maintain harmony and prevent arguments, while expressing their true beliefs and behavior in private settings in front of a small collective of people that they trust the most. There is other literature that describe its origins differently, such as the idea that it is actually a failed transformation by shape-shifting yokai, such as a tanuki or a kitsune. Others wrote that its strong smell resembling rotten flesh is because it had been constructed from decaying body parts, similar to Dr. Frankenstein's monster from the novel written by Mary Shelley. The Nuppeppō holds no particular powers that it can inflict upon people, and is said to wander seemingly aimlessly through towns, graveyards, or old temples. Even though it does not attack people, its unsightly appearance and pungent aroma are likely to frighten off all who come across it. Since its flesh is considered so precious, some may want to catch it and kill it, though they would find it a futile attempt since the monster was surprisingly fast and agile, able to outrun any mortal human. In more recent years, it has been featured in Mizuki Shigeru's anime and manga series Gegege no Kitaro, which helped to bring back the popularity of yokai. It was also seen in other cinematic releases, such as the Yokai Monsters film trilogy of the late 1960s. Many monsters of folklore found in Japan and in other countries may have originated as a story to depict a moral, or as a warning against the negative consequences of bad behavior. In the case of Nuppeppō, perhaps it is a tale of the futile attempt of chasing after that which is unobtainable. Or maybe it is a warning against trying to hide behind a false identity. No matter how hard one may try to conceal who they truly are, if given enough time, the facade will fall away.